Hey guys, so today we're going to be learning how to make a segmented health bar in Unity. This is just a basic starter Unity platform. I'll put a link in the description. Basically, first, before I get into it, I just want to mention that you should know why you want to use a segmented health bar over a linear health bar. Yeah, so if you just download this pack, we can go straight into the prefabs folder. We can go into player and then we can start. First thing we want to do is make a new UI canvas. Let's just leave that as canvas. Okay, it's using screen space overlay. We want to use world space, change the position to 0 just because we want it to be the center of our character. It's still pretty big, so let's make it 5. So let's make the width 5, the height 5. From there we can straight up go into UI, create an image that's quite big, so let's reduce that to, let's say, 0.75 and height 0.1, and let's move that on the Y by 3. Okay, that's directly above our character now. Let's copy this so we can use this later on. Change the color to black. Yeah, so now we can already see it coming together. Now the way we achieve segments in the health bar is by using vertical layer groups, and I'll explain that in a second. For now, just follow my steps. We want to create an empty under that health bar background, and let's call that, well, we want to use horizontal. So horizontal layout. Change these names as you desire. I'm just using what I think is best, and we want to make that the same size as the health bar background, so 0.75. We want to make the height 0.1. We then want to add a horizontal layer group. We want the horizontal layer group to control width and height. Change spacing to 0.1. So we just copied this. Let's paste it as a child. Let's change it to green just so we can tell that it's a segment. Let's also rename this to segment. Now we can copy this. Then we paste it here, and you'll see the effect take place. You know, that's a bit thick. Let's change that to 0.01. That's a lot better. And no matter how many we paste, they will always equally segment. Okay, now we can get into the programming in C# based on how much health the player has. Okay, so now we can get to the scripting. Okay, so all I did was remove all of the segments and make one of the segments a prefab. Just literally drag it into here, it'll make it a prefab inside the assets prefabs folder. As you can see there. The other thing I did is make a script. Okay, so go into scripts, go into UI, and you can see here that I made a new script, completely empty, called a health UI controller. The last thing I did is rename the horizontal layer group to health UI controller, as that will be controlling our health UI and their segments. What we're going to need to do is control removing segments when we get hurt and adding segments at the start of the game based on health points. So this player can already take damage. As you can see here, we can go into play mode. You can take damage, okay? So if he can take damage, we can utilize that, and when he takes damage, we can tell the health UI controller that he has taken damage and say, do something to a health bar. Okay, so let's do that. Where health is located is player. Here, health, perfect. Let's open that up. I can see this function called decrement, and decrement is where it affects the health of the player and where it detects that the player has been hit. Okay? So what we want to do is call something called a C# event. Alright? Now the way we instantiate a C# event is something like this. If you don't understand C# event, there's a lot of tutorials online. But for now, if you don't want to understand, if you just want to follow along, that's fine as well. We called public delegate void hurt action, right? So this is a hurt action, and a public static event hurt action on hurt. Okay, let's go down into decrement and let's invoke this. So invoking basically means, I'll explain this. This is our event, right? We can access this event from any other script. It does not need to have access to this exact script. It just has access to this event. Alright? So when we take damage, we want to invoke this function, and any other script can subscribe to the event, and it doesn't need access to this exact script, which is pretty cool. And it's very, very useful. And I'm also using a lot of that in my game. Okay, let's go to the script we just created. Completely empty. If you might have start an update, just get rid of that. Get rid of all the using tags at the top except using Unity Engine. What we're going to do, these using statements we're just going to use in our script. That's okay, just copy those in there. Alright, so now we need our variables, okay? First thing we're going to need is a segment prefab. We can say that by saying serialized field private. If you don't know what this is, that's okay. It just is a private variable that is exposed to the editor, like a public variable. Treat it as such if you don't know what it is. Alright, now we need to know how many health points we have. Disclaimer, I would not do it in this way, but this is a beginner tutorial. Alright, so I don't want to get too complicated with scriptable objects and everything. So for now, right here, health point is going to be how many segments we want our health bar to have. This is the list of segments we're going to have. Okay, don't worry about this for now, you'll understand this. Okay, let's go down. Now we want our first function. So the first thing we need to do is create segments that are going to be on our health bar. We can just put that in the start function. Don't worry, this is just a for loop, okay? Don't worry about this. Copy this in for now. So the first thing we do is create a variable, right? And then we instantiate that segment, so we just create it. And we create it as many times as there are health points, so that's 5. So we'll create 5 segments, okay? We just set this parent of the segment to us, the game object, so this.gameObject.transform. Okay, as it is placed on the layer group, it'll do the exact same thing as when we manually set it as the child. Okay, remember that from before. And then we add it to this list right here. We add it to that list, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so now we want to create a function to where every single time we get hit by an enemy, we update the health UI. Okay, so let's create a private void. Update health UI. The way events work is we have this invoke right here, and we want to subscribe and unsubscribe to those. It's as simple as every single time we enable the game object, we want to subscribe. Every single time we disable the game object, we want to unsubscribe. Unity has functions for this, so it's pretty simple. So now we have subscribed to this event. Every single time this function is invoked, we do this function. So the thing we are wanting to do is every single time we hit an enemy, right, we want to set the last segment to black, okay, and then remove that segment from the list so we can, next time we get hit, we can again update the health UI and get the health segment and set that to black. So it's just a loop, okay? Not an actual loop, it's just every single time you get hit, set the last segment's color to black. So from here, we are just getting segments.last, so that's how we get the last element in the list, right? .get component image, okay? .color is equal to color.black, so we're just setting the last segment to black. But if we play this right now, what's going to happen is every single time we hit an enemy, that same last segment, okay, that last segment is still going to be black. It's going to be black. You're not going to want to again set that color to black. So the thing we do is we simply remove that last segment from the list. Okay, yep, that's perfect, and this should be good to go. Alright, let's Control S that. Let's check that everything is okay. So we can go on the Health UI controller. We have the 5 health points, okay. Now we have this empty segment, we can go into prefabs. We have this segment right over here that we created earlier. Place that there. We have the 5 health segments. Now, this is an enemy, okay. Remember, every single time we get hit by an enemy, we should set the last health segment to black. Look at that. Okay. Let's do it again. And perfect. Alright, that is the end of my tutorial, guys. If you have any questions, chuck them in the comments below, and make sure to keep up with my game. There'll be a few devlogs on this channel. Alright, subscribe and I'll see you later.